Hello, my name's Simone and I'm a counselling psychologist, and I would like to talk about shame today. This may be a two-parter because there's quite a lot to say. I'll start by describing the difference between shame and guilt, because guilt says I did a bad thing, shame says I am a bad person, and that's because guilt is attached to a behaviour, whereas shame is attached to the self. And guilt offers you a kind of route to growth. Guilt says, okay, well, I did a bad thing. I feel really bad about it. It's a behaviour. I can acknowledge it, repair it, and then I can learn to not do it again. Shame does not offer you that freedom. Shame says you are bad, therefore you're kind of stuck with it. And that's why I think, as a therapist, that shame is a location problem. And what I mean by that is that shame is located in the self. Therefore, we need to think about uncoupling the self from the pain, because at some point something very painful happened to you and it became attached to who you are rather than being experienced as something that was done to you. And the trouble is, when that happens, and we all have to some degree shame, right? But when shame becomes hard ground in, very deep and very pervasive, it becomes an organising principle, and then someone organises their life, and I should say this happens unconsciously. They organise their life in defence of ever having to feel that shame. And that makes relationships really difficult. And the way that people do this is sort of moving between and around three different strategies. And one is avoid, which is where the person will literally avoid any situations that might reveal their defectiveness. And that might be they don't ask for what they want, they avoid relationships, they avoid intimacy, they don't ask for what they need, they won't ask for help, they won't allow themselves to be seen as vulnerable. And this can go as deep as they will lie to themselves about it if it's that bad. People overcompensate, that's another strategy. So that's where they will work very hard to prove that they are not defective, or they don't have to feel the shame that they felt, and that might be associated with failure or not being good enough. And I'll talk about the different flavours of shame in the next video. But lots of very successful people are trauma driven by shame because it shows up in workaholism and being very goal oriented at the expense of the quality of life that you have. And then the third one is surrender. And that's where you just lay down and accept you are broken, flawed, worthless. Very painful. This is very common. Most of us have, to some degree, a level of shame around something because we all have our different flavours of shame. It's very difficult to work with because it lives in the body. It's not one location. It's sort of everywhere. Anyway, I hope that's been useful. I'll talk a little bit more about it in the next video too.